Have you ever wondered what would happen if two of the world's most inspiring voices came together to speak about what truly matters? Well, that's exactly what happened when Oprah Winfrey sat down with His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. It wasn't just an interview, it was an exchange that resonated across hearts and minds, a conversation that went beyond words and truly touched the spirit. Imagine listening to two extraordinary souls exploring what it means to live with compassion, love, and an unwavering quest for peace. That's the kind of magic they created that day, and it's a conversation that still speaks to us today. Discover how small acts of kindness can change the world. Subscribe channel now for stories that inspire transformation. The spiritual connection between Oprah Winfrey and the Dalai Lama. Oprah has always been celebrated for her boundless curiosity about spirituality and self-growth. Through her shows, she's brought so many incredible voices into our homes, from those who have overcome unimaginable challenges to those who have reached profound levels of enlightenment. She has a way of drawing out wisdom, doesn't she? And when she met with the Dalai Lama, it felt like two worlds converging, her warmth and authenticity meeting his humility and gentle humor. Isn't it fascinating how certain people can elevate a conversation to something that feels almost sacred? The Dalai Lama has long been a symbol of love and compassion. A beacon in a world that often seems too caught up in anger and division. Yet, in this conversation with Oprah, he came across as just as human as any of us, but with a beautiful clarity that inspires. Their mutual respect created an energy that you could almost feel through the screen. Oprah, always open-hearted, allowed the Dalai Lama's wisdom to flow freely, and in that, they created something much more than an interview. They opened a window to a different way of being, compassion as the cornerstone of humanity. Compassion, something so simple, yet so transformative. When the Dalai Lama spoke about compassion, he wasn't just talking about it as a noble quality, he was urging us to see it as essential for our survival. Think about that for a moment, compassion as a requirement, not an option. He reminded us that true compassion means genuinely feeling the suffering of others and being moved to help. It's not just sympathy, it's a drive to create change. Oprah shared her own experiences, recalling how growing up in hardship taught her the immense power of compassion. She spoke about the kindness of strangers, and how that kindness changed her life, how it planted the seed of hope within her when she had nothing else. Haven't we all been touched by the compassion of someone, at some point in our lives? Doesn't it make you think, what if we each decided to pass that forward, every day, in our own small way? The Dalai Lama's words were a call to action, to see compassion not as something we occasionally dip into, but as a guiding principle that could transform not only ourselves but society at large. The Dalai Lama emphasized that compassion is not limited to grand gestures. It starts with the small acts of kindness that we can do every day, helping a neighbor, listening to a friend, or even smiling at a stranger. These seemingly small moments are what create the foundation of a compassionate society. Imagine a world where everyone did their part, no matter how small, to make someone else's day just a little bit better. It sounds simple, but it could change everything. Oprah reflected on how her platform has allowed her to share stories of compassion that inspire others to act. She mentioned the importance of storytelling in building empathy and understanding. Through her shows, she's often highlighted stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things out of compassion. It is through these stories that we begin to see each other not as strangers but as part of the same human family. That's the power of compassion. It unites us, it heals us, and it elevates us, the path to inner peace and world peace. We all talk about it, but how do we get there? The Dalai Lama spoke about peace starting from within, that without inner peace, world peace is just a dream. Isn't that true? How can we hope to create harmony in the world when we're at war within ourselves? Meditation, mindfulness, and self-reflection, these were his tools for cultivating peace. It's a practice, not a destination. Oprah was intrigued by the Dalai Lama's idea of interdependence, that all beings are connected, that our actions ripple outward in ways we may not even realize. She reflected on her role as a storyteller, how the stories she shares are like bridges, connecting hearts, helping us see each other more clearly. When she spoke of this, you could see her passion. She deeply believes that our shared humanity can lead us to a more peaceful world. Imagine if every one of us believed that, even a little bit, how different might our world be. The Dalai Lama explained that true peace begins with understanding ourselves. He emphasized the importance of looking inward, of understanding our own minds and emotions. Without this understanding, it becomes nearly impossible to find peace. He talked about the importance of meditation, not as a religious practice, but as a tool for understanding and transforming the mind. Meditation helps us to see our thoughts for what they are, passing moments that we don't need to cling to or identify with. Oprah, with her characteristic curiosity, delved deeper into this idea. She spoke of her own experiences with meditation and mindfulness, how these practices have helped her navigate the challenges of her life. She shared how, in the midst of chaos, finding a moment to breathe and center herself has made all the difference. Isn't it incredible how just a few minutes of mindfulness can shift our entire perspective? The Dalai Lama also spoke about the importance of forgiveness in finding inner peace. He shared that holding on to anger and resentment only harms us. It is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Forgiveness, he said, is an act of compassion toward oneself. It is a way of letting go of the burdens that weigh us down, freeing ourselves to experience peace. Oprah nodded in agreement, sharing how forgiveness had been a powerful tool in her own life, allowing her to move forward from painful experiences and find true freedom, finding joy despite adversity. How does someone like the Dalai Lama, who's lost his homeland, who's seen the suffering of his people, remain joyful? Oprah asked him this, and his answer was simple yet profound: joy is a choice. Isn't that something we all need to hear, especially today? Joy is not about avoiding pain, it's about choosing to focus on what we can do here and now. The Dalai Lama doesn't waste time lamenting what cannot be changed. Instead, he chooses to see each moment as an opportunity to spread love. Oprah connected deeply with this. She's no stranger to hardship herself. She shared how shifting her perspective helped her move beyond some of the darkest moments of her life. It's a powerful reminder that joy doesn't come from our circumstances, it comes from our approach to life. And isn't that the real power we hold? The power to choose how we respond, even when we can't choose what happens to us. The Dalai Lama explained that joy comes from within and is not dependent on external circumstances. He shared that his secret to joy is maintaining a positive attitude, regardless of what is happening around him. He spoke of the importance of gratitude, even in difficult times. By focusing on what we have, rather than what we lack, we can cultivate a sense of abundance and joy. He smiled as he spoke about the small joys in life, sharing a laugh with a friend, the beauty of a sunrise, the warmth of a kind gesture. These are the things that bring true happiness. He said. Oprah shared a story from her own life, about a time when she was struggling with feelings of hopelessness. She talked about how she began a gratitude journal, writing down 5 things she was grateful for each day. This simple practice shifted her perspective and allowed her to see the beauty and blessings in her life, even during the most challenging times. Isn't it amazing how a simple shift in focus can change everything? The Dalai Lama also spoke about the role of humor in maintaining joy. He has always been known for his infectious laugh and his ability to find humor in almost any situation. He explained that humor is a powerful tool for relieving tension and bringing people together. It reminds us not to take ourselves too seriously and helps us to see the lighter side of life. Oprah laughed as she recalled moments during their conversation when the Dalai Lama's humor had taken her by surprise, lightening the mood and bringing a sense of joy to even the most profound topics. Building a more compassionate world. How do we make a more compassionate world? It sounds like such a huge task, doesn't it? But the Dalai Lama brought it down to something beautifully simple. It starts with each of us. It's in how we treat our family, our neighbors, even strangers. If we wait for leaders to change the world, we might be waiting forever. But if each of us takes responsibility, If each of us decides to lead with compassion, change is inevitable. Oprah spoke about the role of media in this, how storytelling can plant the seeds of empathy and understanding. Stories can break down barriers, help us see the humanity in each other. She's made it her mission to share those stories, to inspire action and foster compassion. It's true, isn't it? A single story can change the way we see the world, can change us. Imagine if we surrounded ourselves with stories that lifted us up, that opened our hearts. What kind of world might we create? The Dalai Lama emphasized that real change starts with education. He spoke about the need for an education system that not only teaches academic skills but also focuses on the development of emotional intelligence, empathy, and compassion. He believes that teaching children to be kind, to understand their emotions, and to relate to others with empathy is just as important as teaching them mathematics or science. By raising a generation that values compassion, we can create a future that is more peaceful and more connected. Oprah agreed wholeheartedly, sharing her own experiences with educational initiatives. She spoke about the work she has done with her Leadership Academy in South Africa, where she has tried to instill not only academic excellence but also values of empathy, service, and leadership. She shared stories of students who had taken these values to heart and gone on to make a difference in their communities. It was clear that both Oprah and the Dalai Lama believed in the transformative power of education, not just for individual success, but for the betterment of society as a whole. The impact of the interview and its broader significance. This conversation between Oprah and the Dalai Lama was more than just words, it was an invitation. An invitation for each of us to reflect, to reconsider how we live, how we relate to ourselves and each other. The Dalai Lama's teachings on compassion, peace, and joy couldn't be more relevant in today's world, where so much seems to push us towards division and fear. And Oprah's willingness to be vulnerable, to learn alongside us, made it all the more powerful. Watching them together, it's impossible not to feel inspired. It's a reminder that greatness isn't about status or power, it's about kindness, humility, and a genuine desire to make the world better. We all have that capacity within us. The Dalai Lama and Oprah showed us that a better world isn't just a dream, it's something we can start building, today, with every choice we make, with every compassionate act. So, the question is, what will you do today to add a little more compassion to the world? The impact of this interview went far beyond the conversation itself. It sparked discussions around the world, encouraging people to think about how they could incorporate the principles of compassion, peace, and joy into their own lives. It inspired people to take small steps towards creating a more peaceful world, whether by meditating to cultivate inner peace, practicing acts of kindness in their communities, or simply being more mindful of their thoughts and actions. The Dalai Lama's message was clear: we are all interconnected, and our actions matter. Every act of compassion, no matter how small, contributes to the collective well-being of humanity. He urged us not to underestimate the power of a single act of kindness. Oprah echoed this sentiment, reminding viewers that we all have a role to play in creating the kind of world we want to live in. It starts with us, with our choices, with our willingness to be the change we wish to see. In the days and weeks following the interview, many people shared their stories of how they had been inspired to act. Some began volunteering in their communities, others reached out to mend broken relationships, and many took up meditation for the first time. It was as if a wave of compassion had been set in motion, touching lives in ways that were both profound and lasting. The power of vulnerability and authenticity. One of the most striking aspects of the interview was the authenticity and vulnerability that both Oprah and the Dalai Lama brought to the conversation. Oprah has always been known for her openness, for her willingness to share her own struggles and triumphs. This quality has endeared her to millions, making her not just a talk show host, but a trusted friend. In her conversation with the Dalai Lama, this vulnerability was on full display, as she asked questions that came from a deeply personal place. The Dalai Lama, too, was open and authentic. He spoke candidly about his own challenges, about the pain of losing his homeland, and about the ongoing struggles of the Tibetan people. Yet, even in discussing these difficult topics, there was no bitterness, no anger, only compassion and a desire to bring about positive change. His willingness to be vulnerable, to share his pain without letting it define him, was a powerful example of resilience. Oprah and the Dalai Lama's authenticity created a space where viewers felt safe to explore their own vulnerabilities. It reminded us that it's okay to not have all the answers, that it's okay to struggle, and that true strength lies in our ability to be honest with ourselves and others. Their conversation was a powerful reminder that vulnerability is not a weakness, it is a bridge that connects us to one another, that allows us to truly see and be seen. The ripple effect of compassion and joy. The concept of the ripple effect was a recurring theme in the interview. The Dalai Lama spoke about how each act of compassion, each moment of joy, creates ripples that extend far beyond what we can see. He reminded us that our actions, no matter how small, have the power to impact others in ways we may never know. A smile, a kind word, a helping hand, these simple acts can set off a chain reaction of positivity that spreads from person to person, creating a wave of change. Oprah expanded on this idea, sharing stories from her own life and career where she had witnessed the ripple effect in action. She spoke about guests who had shared their stories on her show, and how those stories had gone on to inspire countless others. She mentioned the power of storytelling, not just as a way to entertain, but as a way to connect us, to remind us of our shared humanity. Isn't it incredible to think that a single story, a single act of kindness, can change the course of someone's life? The Dalai Lama also spoke about the importance of intention. He emphasized that it's not just our actions that matter, but the intention behind them. When we act from a place of genuine compassion, when our intention is to bring about happiness and reduce suffering, the impact of our actions is magnified. Oprah reflected on this, noting that intention has always been a guiding principle in her life and work. She shared how, before every show, she would take a moment to set her intention, to be of service, to uplift, to inspire. This simple practice, she said, made all the difference. A vision for the future. As the conversation drew to a close, Oprah and the Dalai Lama turned their attention to the future. What kind of world do we want to create? How can we move forward in a way that honors our shared humanity? The Dalai Lama spoke of his vision for a world where compassion is the norm, where people are educated not only in academic subjects but also in the values of kindness, empathy, and interconnectedness. He spoke of a world where leaders are chosen not for their power or wealth, but for their compassion and wisdom. Oprah shared her own hopes for the future, a world where every person feels seen, heard, and valued. A world where we recognize that our differences are what make us beautiful, and where we come together to solve the challenges we face. She spoke about the role of media in shaping this future, about the responsibility of storytellers to create content that uplifts and inspires. She acknowledged that while the challenges we face are great, so too is our capacity for love, for resilience, for change. The Dalai Lama ended the conversation with a simple yet profound message: never give up. He urged viewers to keep striving, to keep working for a better world, even when the challenges seem insurmountable. He reminded us that change takes time, that progress is often slow, but that every step we take brings us closer to the world we envision. Oprah echoed this sentiment, encouraging viewers to take action, to be the change they wish to see, and to never underestimate the power of a single compassionate act. Reflections on the human spirit. The conversation between Oprah Winfrey and the Dalai Lama was a profound exploration of the human spirit. It was a reminder of the incredible strength that lies within each of us, the strength to choose compassion over indifference, joy over despair, and peace over conflict. It was a call to action, an invitation to live more consciously, to be more present, and to contribute to a world that is more loving, more compassionate, and more just. Oprah's ability to connect with her audience, to ask the questions that so many of us have in our hearts, made this conversation deeply personal. And the Dalai Lama's gentle wisdom, his unwavering commitment to compassion, offered a guiding light in a world that often feels dark. Together, they created something truly special, something that continues to inspire, to uplift, and to remind us of what is possible when we come together in the spirit of love and understanding. As we reflect on their conversation, we are reminded that the path to a better world begins within each of us. It begins with our choices, with our willingness to look inward, to cultivate peace and compassion in our own hearts. It begins with our willingness to see each other, to listen, to understand, and to act with kindness. The Dalai Lama and Oprah showed us that a better world is not just a dream, it is something we can create, one compassionate act at a time. So, what will you do today to make a difference? How will you choose to show up in the world? The answers to these questions are not just about changing the world, they are about changing ourselves, about becoming the kind of people who make the world a little brighter, a little kinder, a little more joyful. The conversation between Oprah and the Dalai Lama was a gift, a reminder that we are all in this together, and that together, we have the power to create a world that reflects the best of who we are.